just hear me, People that listen to listen, people feel it. People that listen to respond, you just don't feel heard, you know. And so a lot of times when you go to treatment or you sit in like processing groups, a lot of that processing time that you spend speaking, you actually really figure a lot of your own stuff out. But it's just a matter of hearing yourself say it. And then you're like, oh, that's why I do that. Or that's why I feel like that. Or it also gives someone else the opportunity to either share their experiences, which then means you don't feel as alone, you don't feel as crazy, you don't feel as unique, like I'm the only person that feels like this, you know. Um, and you're able to start self identifying maybe where things went wrong, the error of your ways. And like I was telling you earlier, Serena, you can't change what you don't acknowledge. So you can acknowledge where you're at, then you can start getting to where you want to go.
Anybody?
Yeah, I'm laughing because I had literally had this conversation with my brother, right? Like literally 30 minutes ago.
Confirmation.
Right? I'm so big on that. It's really like the universe is always speaking.
Yes.
Right? And people, we're not in tune. And I tell people all the time, right, that we're so moving so fast, rushing to get to that moment, that we miss every moment leading up to that moment. So that when we
Mm-hmm.
get to that moment we've been chasing, it doesn't feel as
Which
good.
is the moment.
Right?
That is
And
the moment, you know?
and that's the whole point. And it's just constantly. And I'm telling my brother, he has got into a big situation with his roommate. House was called violent. There was violence involved in it. And I had to bring it back to him. He's saying, well, he's got schizophrenia, he's bipolar, and that. And I said, what are you? I said, what are you? Go, oh, well, I'm not schizophrenia, I'm bipolar. I said, okay, so you both have a mental health, right? You both take medications for it. If
Mm-hmm.
you read on the side of the bottle of that medication, it says do not mix with alcohol. It would intensify the effect of the drug. It may cause this, it may cause all these other effects. Then you mix that with some other drugs in your system, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then if you even remember to take your medication, you're taking it with drugs and alcohol, and then you usually just forget to take your medication. So you got a person who's schizophrenia who responding to internal stimuli, right? Auditory, visual, right? You bipolar. One minute you're cool with them, the next you're screaming at them, berating them, right? What do you think's gonna happen? Fuse that with your alcohol and your usage. I said, Robert, like when are you gonna wake up? What you're doing is just not working, brother.
That's right.
But it's, I said, listen to me. I'm not better than you. We grew up in the same household. We got the same education, same mother. I got sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Right.
I decided to make a choice to take control of my life instead of making excuses and beating myself up. I decided to see a clinician, a physician who can sit me down and diagnose myself properly instead of me using the street term that we so freely throw around growing up in the hood as that person crazy, meaning in a good way. He crazy. And,
Right.
and so we get immune into feeling these feelings and just accepting it and brushing it off. Right? The ones that we grew up with that do have the schizophrenia, we made fun of them. It was a joke to us. Right? So now we live in a new day and age. And I told my brother, like, when you stop drinking for 17 months, and I made a bet with him on that, and he got himself clean and he was doing great, amazing. I said, when did you decide that good life you was living just wasn't good enough, that you decided to go start drinking again and back to this path where you at?
Can I speak to that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I want to speak to that because I am extremely what they used to call manic depressive, but they call it bipolar now. Okay. So I knew, it takes people a while to find the meds that work for them. I found it off the bat at 19, and I kind of just been on and off taking meds or whatever. So I was taking, and I'm a firm proponent of if you need mental health meds, take them. Okay. So this one man, I always took 2, because I'm ADHD too. So it was something to try and slow me. And it was working. But this is what happens. You get to telling yourself that lie, like, man,
Yeah.
I bet you I can go out and use. Now, let me tell you, I'm different than your brother because I didn't forget to take my meds. I didn't want the meds to interfere with the effects of my drugs. Like, I didn't want these meds messing up my the real drugs.
Yeah.
Now, I knew this was working for me, but I didn't see, like, everyone's like, oh man, the meds will slow down this high. So let me go try that and then I'll go back to the meds. I just never made it back to the meds. Never made it back to the meds. So I don't, and like I said, you put stuff in the atmosphere and it's confirmation. If the meds are working, stay on them.
That's my
Stop messing around.
I
Stop
have
freaking yourself out of it. Stop thinking that you need to go on a bender real quick. If they're
the
working,
thing
stay on
is,
them.
and what I love though, right, when he tries to justify talking to a person that had 96 residents under my care with severe high acuity mental health.
Yeah.
I'm talking about clinically deemed, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the right meds, they're thriving. They're doing
Yeah.
the best. They're not a threat
That's
to the
right.
society, right? Had it wasn't for Congress to decide to pass that law 30 years ago that said it's inhumane to continue to punish a person and keep these asylums open because a person has schizophrenia or psychosis or schizoaffective with a manic high and a depressive low and they can't think and they can't feel, right? Let's lock them up for the rest of their life. Congress, thank God for Congress. Congress did something right and unifying to get the votes to pass this law. Right. So now they have these outside entities, right, that help stabilization. Right. Stabilization is just one component of it, right? One thing I learned in this field being doing what I do is that no 2 doctors are ever in agreement. Right. So every time a person has to get restabilized, they go see Dr. A. Dr. A say this is the medication we're going to put them on, put them in a stabilization unit for 72 hours and release them. A week later, person goes right back in, right? Dr. B sees this person, looks at the chart, flips the page over and said, well, we're going to write this medication and release them 72 hours later. And the recidivism rate is it's a constant cycle.
Yeah. So your brother's trying to tell you his excuses and you already know him.
He's gonna tell me that he's not an addict. So I tell him that you're better than me because I haven't had a drink and a drug in over 10 years and I still go to a couple meetings a week, right? You're better than me.
But right? This is why
I want to hear Amanda because she's got the perspective.
Tell
I mean, you do too. You do too, but let me tell you about Suboxone and methadone.
Yeah, I've been on both.
It's just like, tell us.
Yeah, so I want to back up for a second with the beginning of what you were saying, Anthony, about your brother just not feeling satisfied enough with his life that he felt it was necessary to go and self-destruct again. And what's so unfortunate about that is it may not be the best route to go, but it's the comfortable route to go. That's what he's familiar with. And if he has not worked on what has brought him over there, then everything that happened that transpired prior is just going to bring him right back over there because that's where he's comfortable.
Correct.
But working on your self-worth, your self-esteem, that all comes confidence, all of those things. That stems from loving yourself. And if you don't love yourself, then you're not going to have the ability to do all these other things. You're not going to be able to grow and prosper and learn new ways to think and to feel and to act and to do. You're just not going to because you don't care, and you can't give what you don't have. You just can't. And as far as what you were asking me about the medication is what a lot of people don't understand is, okay, so there's 6 parts to our brain and there's a whole bunch of neurotransmitters going crazy, and not everybody's brain operates the same, even though they're all still a brain. Not
Mhm.
everybody's operates the same. Some are
And,
mental health,
um,
are eating addictions, some are body dysmorphia, some I mean there's a whole list of that go on, and it's because something's just not moving and grooving in a way that aligns towards every 6 areas of your brain, right? But once again, you peel the layers back, and if you love yourself enough, then you're going to start doing self-discovery work, and you're going to figure out what is it that I need in order to obtain a home, a wife that loves me, a wife that's sober, businesses that add value to the world. You know, all of those things come from a place of loving you, and that's truly where it begins, is loving yourself. You
yeah.
know.
Well, if I could, quickly, so I'd actually associate this to one's will and that, and I speak about the will because, you know, I took a I just took a training, right? We just had a training at where I work at, and it was on trauma informed,
Mm,
and I think we all go through a lot of trauma in life um during birth,
mhm.
at the beginning of our being born.
I agree.
We take on trauma, and growing up, and I don't care where you grow up at. If you grow up in a nice family, a two-family home, if you grow up rich, you grow up poor, I think there's a lot of trauma to go around in that growth and development stage of oneself.
Mhm.
And so, like, and I say that because I could have easily been this I don't know if I want to say victim. I think this is the wrong words to use, but I could have been this statistic on being this drug user and abuser, right? Me and Anthony grew up together. We grew up on the same block. We sold drugs and sold poison to our community. You know,
You
you
could have
know,
justified your actions
No
easily.
question, no question. See, Anthony, he testifies, to this day how he's a recovering addict. He testifies to this day how he, took these medications and that meds. I never took meds before. You know what I mean? But like you just said, I think I could have justified for taking whatever those meds,
Mhm.
that was given, especially in the prison system.
Yeah.
Because once you came in, it was, yo, you want something to sleep? You got 25 to life. You might need something. The doctor hit you off quick, and then they put you on this this long-term regimen of your life. So